Hey trainers, welcome back to Pokemon. Whoops. Sorry. Kicking the camera. Anywho, hey trainers, welcome back to Pokemon Deck Check. I would be PokeDad. And today we've got Mewtwo Mew GX Tag Team with Silvally GX. We featured it earlier in the gameplay. And we played a few games with it. And I'm here to tell you, this deck is for real. It is legit. I have complete confidence in it. We would need more games, but if there was a tournament tomorrow and these cards were legal, I would probably take this deck with me just because it is just so smooth. It flows perfectly. Yeah, let's just get into the list. And if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing, hit the like, comment. I always try to reply to all the comments best I can when I catch them. So, yeah, let's do this. For Mewtwo Mew Tag Team GX, 3 Type Null, 3 Silvally GX, 2 Dedenne GX, 1 Jirachi GX to get rid of that pesky weakness. Now we go into Smash, which is Dragonite GX, Solgaleo Promo GX, Reshiram Charizard GX Tag Team. And then we have a Marshadow One of Tech. So, in case you've been living under a rock, Mewtwo Mew is completely awesome. It won Worlds. There's no reason to think that it's going to be slowed down by anything coming out of the format this next set. It's for real. You can copy any GX attack in your graveyard, on your bench, and yeah, it's ridiculous. And we're going to cover a video about how good it is in Expanded. And it's actually a problem, a huge problem in Expanded. That'll be another video, another time. Silvally GX. Think of Octillery. Once during your turn, you can draw till you have 5 cards. So, naturally, you have synergy with Mewtwo, which is okay with stuff being in the discard pile. If you're discarding stuff, then that gives you more room to draw more cards. So, in a way, it's a lot like Zoroark. In a lot of ways, it's better than Zoroark. It still has an attack like Zoroark, where it just does 120, because for 2 colorless, 50, and then if you played a supporter, 70 more. So it's very reminiscent to the Gallade Stage 2. Very, very good. GX attack, 2 colorless. If it's an Ultra Beast, knock it out, take 2 prizes. Simple as that. So already I like the matchup against any Ultra Beast deck. Your Checkmate decks are running heavy Ultra Beast. Your obviously Party Balloon is going to be running heavy Ultra Beast. And then yeah, it's really good, folks. And we're going to be featuring a lot of different Silvally decks as we go along here, because I can see treating it just like Zoroark, where you just have a 4/4 skeleton and then specific search pieces that always go with the deck. You know what I mean? So you're going to see a lot of different Silvally GX decks popping up because it's that good. That card, it is actually one of the best cards coming out in this set. So, Jirachi, get rid of weakness. Dragonite, we're going to be looking to hit the 270 KO. If we need acceleration as far as energy, we've got the 120, accelerate 2, or we can always use Silvally's 120. Then we got Charizard to put early game pressure. He also forms a 5th attacker. We do not play Magcargo GX. It's not in here. We have thought about it, but you know, when we were playing the Magcargo, I can see what Henry was going for, because it also gives you an option for an attacker. in case you don't want to use Mewtwo Mew. So there are benefits to it, but at the end of the day, you're discarding more energy than if you were just playing Dragonite. You know, if you just copy Dragonite's attack. And Dragonite attack hit for 270. So, as we go along, if we figure out that we need Magcargo GX, then we can make adjustments. But as of right now, this is a winning formula. This is a winning recipe, I'm telling you, folks. So, and then the Marshadow to get rid of the stadiums. Also note, very good against Naganadels. 10 plus 60 more if they're an Ultra Beast. So that gives you 140 damage because they're weak to Psychic. So, a 1-of tech, and he's easily searchable with Mysterious Treasure. So, no reason not to play him. 4 Mysterious Treasure. 4 Cherish Ball. 2 Poke Comp. This seems to be a winning setup recipe for this deck. You've got 10 forms of search. Looking back at the old Zoroark decks, they used to play like 4 Ultra Ball, 4 Nest Ball, and then 2 Poke Comp. So you have the same 10 forms of search, just different. You just don't have Ultra Ball or Nest Ball. So in some ways, this isn't as good. In some ways, this is pretty good. But I mean, nothing's better than Ultra Ball. So, but forms of search, I feel like it's right on point. You know, you're never struggling to get stuff out. 4 poke gear, we'll get into that. 4 great catchers to switch, a fire crystal, a spell tag, and a pal pad. 4 poke gears because we are wanting to play basically one supporter, and that's Welder, okay? We're going to be digging for Welder to play Welder almost every single turn of the game. Unless we need to dig for great catchers, and then we have a 1-of tech Hapu, which we'll talk about here in a second. But 4 great catchers, super awesome. You want to directly put pressure on a specific Pokemon every single turn. This gets it done. You can discard, lower that hand size, redraw it up with Silvally, all the while pulling up. So think of Lysander plus getting to draw at least 2 cards. Okay, how ridiculously good would that be? Okay, that's how good this is. That's how busted Silvally plus great catcher is. Discard 2 and then draw 2. Basically, that's what this card should read when it's with Silvally. So good. You definitely want to be playing 4. Okay. Got the spell tag to help out numbers with Mewtwo. You can put 4 damage counters, so you can set up the numbers super good, especially against like the Palkia, Dialga, and Arceus. They're 280, so you can set up 10 on one, 10 on another, and then 20 on something else. So super good with the spell tag. Pal Pad, we're going to be wanting to reshuffle those Welders back in. Fire Crystal, in case Solgaleo's prized, we can go straight into a Welder if we already have Welder in our hand. So, and then 2 switches, so we have some mobility. Because other people are going to be playing Great Catcher too, and we don't want a something to get just stuck up there in the active, you know. Already talked about it. 4 Welder and 1 Hapu. You want to be playing Welder every single turn of the game. So you basically have 4 Welder plus the 4 Poke Gears, so basically 8 Welder. And then the Pal Pad, so technically 10. Almost like 10 Welders, okay? Hapu's great if you want to dig for the great catchers. Plus you can discard your hand. But this is so good because you only grab 2 cards. So if you have a low hand size, you grab 2 cards with Hapu, and then you can draw up with Silvally. You know? So you could go, if you have 4 cards in your hand, think about this. If you have 4 cards in your hand, discard 2 with the Great Catcher, So now you're down to just the Hapu in hand. Do Silvally to draw up to 4. Do the Hapu to look at 6 and grab 2. So all of a sudden you've built your hand all the way back up. So super, super good synergy with Silvally. And then stadiums. Shouldn't be a surprise. 2 Giant Furnace and a Heat Factory. Plus the Marshadow, so we have 4 forms of stadium bump in case they're playing Power Plant. That's really the only thing that's going to threaten this deck as of right now is Power Plant. Okay? And that was another good reason to play the Magcargo GX. So if somebody was playing a very, very heavy line of Power Plant, then you're not completely shut out of the game. So it's definitely worth considering adding Magcargo GX. But as of right now, I think 4 stadium bumps gets it done. I really do. And you can always hold on to them until you're ready to attack and then bump the stadium that turn. In that case, you only need 2. So I think 3 plus the Marshadow is plenty. But we'll just have to see, you know. We'll have to see how the meta develops, if people are going to be playing more and more Power Plants or not. For energy, we got 5, 10, 12, plus Fire Crystal, that gives us 15, plus Turbo Strike gives us 2 more to accelerate from the discard pile. Plenty of energy, folks. You're not going to run out of energy. Definitely not. And you're going to have plenty to welder onto. So, folks, this deck is so good. We did make the adjustment for the Jirachi 3-3 Silvally line. That could possibly go to a 3-2. And then you could add the Magcargo there. So that could be an option. But everything else... just doing a quick scan. If you're not liking the spell tag, that could be your Magcargo GX. Or if you don't like the Hapu, that could be your Magcargo GX. So, I mean, there's a few spots that you could tinker with if you wanted to get the Magcargo GX in. Or a 3rd Giant Furnace. You know, so, but as of right now, not too many decks are playing Power Plant. It's not a major, major threat. Yes, there's certain decks that are playing a heavy Power Plant line. The Pidgeotto stall decks with Oranguru, they're going to be able to reoccur those Power Plants. Honestly, you should be able to put enough pressure on that Power Plant's not even going to be an issue. So, I mean, you could just, at that point, just kind of go into Charizard, and then you got the 2 switches, and you could always retreat, all the while welder up to something else on the bench, possibly, and then just go in like that whenever you do have a stadium bump. So, I mean, that's probably your worst matchup is the Power Plant heavy decks. But, anywho, hyper aggressive, super good. It's what I would take to a tournament if these cards were legal tomorrow. I would not hesitate. I would take this deck over Reshiram, Zekrom, or anything else. I like this better than the other Mewtwo Toolbox deck that like won Worlds. I love the Silvally in it, folks. Super good. Definitely try it out. Let me know in the comments what you would swap out for the Magcargo. Or if anything, or if you like it like here, or maybe a second Charizard instead of the Magcargo, let me know. And till next time, be excellent to each other, and party on, dudes.